Welcome into the DNVR Broncos Podcast from the Toyota Lounge. We got a lot to talk about today. Curious what the vibes are going to be as we start to see the chat fill up. Big show talking about all the big moves the Broncos made. Well, the moves the Broncos made, I guess we should say. And we're going to get started in about 30 seconds. War zone, just like yesterday was.
Yeah,
boy, did the comments fill up quickly on that J.K. Dobbins show. But you know, here we are. And how do you feel? A day removed from what happened yesterday.
Well, I never felt bad about it yesterday. I did feel bad about the way people were acting. And then I just got off Twitter for the entirety of the night, and my night improved greatly.
There's a lesson there.
Yes, there is. So yeah, I mean, I, like everyone, would have liked to see the Broncos make a big move for an explosive playmaker that we could all get excited about. Or doing film rooms.
Start buying jerseys.
Yeah. It didn't happen. I'm just not on the side of people who are freaking out over the people that they did bring back. Yeah. I have some opinions about certain aspects of it, which we'll get into. But yeah, I mean, I feel completely fine. I think that the reaction was a bit embarrassing, to be completely frank.
And I mean, I get why people are upset. The first day of free agency is like Christmas. Like, it's just all these new fun things that happen. And we were all just like little Christmas children who woke up and we found out that Santa had just taken a bunch of our stuff and wrapped it up. And we didn't actually get anything new. It's just like, we left the shoes by the door, and Santa came and like grabbed our shoes and put them in a box and wrapped it up, and we just opened it up, and it's like, hey, those are my shoes.
Or it's like the meme of like the old man who's unwrapping a shirt, and it's the exact shirt that he's wearing.
Exactly.
The thing is, like, the shirt that we had was a great shirt.
Yeah.
14-3.
Right.
AFC West champs.
Right. It's a good shirt. Yeah, and I think it's the Broncos are one of the 5 teams everybody's pointed out that haven't signed another team's free agent yet. The rest of them were all good teams, the Packers and the
Jags
Seahawks and the Jags and the Eagles. Thank you for. I didn't have the list.
I could tell by your.
Yeah, I was going to call.
You're just going to throw out some names.
But I mean, it's just sometimes that's what happens. Is you made the right move and signed Pat Surtain and Nick Bonito and Zach. Like, you have all these good players on big contracts. And we probably should have seen this coming. And honestly, I think these are the exact moves I would have made. I think we talked right before free agency. I think the last show before free agency. And I settled on, I'm going with Singleton, Cernat as my linebackers moving on from Greenlaw. So that's what happened. Kenneth Walker, I was tempted by.
I just got to say, it's pretty rare that we, like, because we were on that.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare that we just nail it that directly. Like, I didn't think that was actually all going to happen the exact way that we thought it would, or said it would,
right,
or wanted it to go.
Right. And specifically when we're talking about like cutting somebody, like when there are 3 pieces that really could go a bunch of different ways. The weird thing is we got that one right, despite it being like universally hated. Like people are so upset about that. You would think that if we had gotten it right, it would be so obvious that like the entire fan base would kind of be behind it.
Yeah.
But just you rarely see we got that one right and everybody hates it.
Well, and as Zach pointed out yesterday, I mean, he texted me from Indianapolis being like, you're not going to be excited by this offseason.
Yeah.
And then he wrote it and said it on the pod. So I think no one believed it because it wasn't what they wanted to hear.
Right.
Which is another lesson about today's society.
Right. There are a lot of lessons. Also, like, if somebody wrapped up my shoes for Christmas and just gave them to me, I would be disappointed, but I'd still be like, oh, thank you. Like, that's what you know. But it turns out the actual 2026 reaction is just like, we're going to scream about this until everybody's ears are bleeding.
And then I'm going to let this go and try to move forward from it. But I will say there was a time yesterday where I was like, maybe this is just how all NFL fans are. Like everyone's melting down and kind of throwing a temper tantrum right now.
Right.
And then my brother-in-law, who is an Eagles fan, texted and was like, I don't know why I'm seeing Broncos Twitter right now, but oh my God, what is going on? This is an absolute meltdown. And I was like, oh, great. So the whole like world is looking at us, not just our little pity party.
Yeah. And I will say the chat so far today, the Toyota chat so far today, much better than yesterday. Even the people who aren't happy are, maybe they've just gone from like anger to sadness, which would naturally calm you a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I think we're moving past it.
All right.
I think the other piece was that with all the conversation about the Russ dead cap hit, people felt like, oh, we're out from under that, and now we get to go spend all that money, which wasn't true, and maybe we should have pushed back on that a little bit more over the past year or whatever, because again, you had restructured so many contracts, and when you gave out a contract, you structured it in a way that those cap hits these past 2 years when you're dealing with Russell Wilson's dead cap means that bill comes due eventually. And so you kind of just spread that out in a different way, because really this is what we should have expected. Like I said, we got the linebackers right. The J.K. Dobbins thing, I think I said Kenneth Walker, like $15 million I'd do it, but I was still pretty torn about it. Mm-hmm. And so you're kind of in that same area. We're not surprised. And Trautman, I guess I said I would have gone after Cade Otton, but we're really not that far off what we should have expected at this point.
The Trautman one, I think, is the one that I'm least on board with, but it's also one of those things where like I can't get passionate about that.
Right.
Like I can't get like angry about giving Adam Trautman a couple $1 million.
Right.
And as I said yesterday, I'm like, if that's what Sean wants to do, he doesn't want to train a new employee. He just wants to say, this employee already knows all of the stuff and he's good enough for me. I'll just take his word for it. Mm-hmm. I made my feelings clear about Alex Singleton on the emergency show, but I like the move. I think you ended up getting it for a pretty good deal compared to what I thought.
Yeah.
Which, if you remember, when we were doing like mock contracts, Zach said 3 years, $30 million, 20 guaranteed for Alex Singleton, and I said no.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that.
But for 7.5,
and we didn't.
Right, exactly.
We did 2 years for 7.5 each, with about 70% of that guaranteed, and I think that's a great deal. And I just want to quickly say this, and then I want to get to my takes on the numbers that came out for J.K. Dobbins. PJ Locke. Well, do I go to the? I'm gonna. You know what? Because we already talked about it, I'm gonna give you the whole spectrum.
Okay.
This all started when a Broncos fan, allegedly, tweeted, "If all Broncos fans tweeted Alex Singleton and call him slurs and blow up his mentions, maybe we can get him to hate us enough to sign somewhere else."
Yeah.
And then sometimes people forget that other people could see this. So then Nick Benito co-tweeted it and said, "You need Jesus."
Probably right.
And then PJ Locke, which is the part I was getting to this whole time, said, "Facts. MFs stay hating on Alex. He's a dog, and the whole squad loves his play." Not just loves him, because that's where a lot of people came back at me. I quote tweeted this, and I was like, so Sean Payton loves Alex Singleton. Vance Joseph loves Alex Singleton. George Payton loves Alex Singleton. And according to PJ Locke, the whole squad loves his play. Not just Alex the person, who we all know is great.
Right.
They love his play. And everyone is open to have their opinion. I'm totally in on disagreement. But I do think with all that information, people should just consider if maybe they're missing something.
Right. And what they're missing might be, I don't think anybody's going to try to tell you that Alex Singleton is the best linebacker in the NFL.
He's not.
I don't even, no, he might. No, he wouldn't. I don't think he would even say that, which shows where it's, but we're talking about $7.5 million a year. And so you're paying a third of what you would pay if he was the best linebacker in the NFL.
And you can't get the best linebacker.
No, that was never an option because he's out in San Francisco and like those guys just don't come available. So yes, you could have spent more there, but if you were to pay double and go get Devin Lloyd, yes, there are things that Devin Lloyd does better. There are also things that Alex Singleton does better. And for the Broncos, what they want is a linebacker who first and foremost can help in the run game because that's what a linebacker should be doing. And when you have that piece figured out, subbing a guy out and subbing somebody else in, like Alex Singleton is a better run defender than Devin Lloyd. And you could ask anybody in Jacksonville, they'd tell you the same thing. Devin Lloyd has all the freaky stuff that makes him special and the turnovers and all that. But that's why Alex makes sense. Is because unless you want to pay double, you're not getting like a significant upgrade anyway. So why not take the guy who's already been in the system, who wants to be here, who his teammates love him, and has been working well for a few years. So that's why I just am, I guess maybe not surprised, but just a little bit disappointed by Broncos fans on that one.
And then I want to get to the one piece of information that came after all of our shows were done yesterday.
Yes.
Which is the money for J.K. Dobbins.
Yep.
And I'm so conflicted on this because J.K. Dobbins was my plan C. Kenneth Walker was gone. Travis Etienne was gone. I said, let's do J.K. I wasn't in on Algier, etc. And then the money came out for J.K. and it kind of blew me away. I'm just going to be honest. That was a lot more than I expected to pay. And having, I guess like 15 hours or whatever to now digest that, here's where I land on it. It's gambling. This is gambling. And as a gambler, I appreciate gambling.
Yep.
But this is a big gamble. And the way I said it to you guys is like, this is a $10 million gamble on a plus 800 parlay. And guess what? If you hit that parlay, that is a whole lot of money.
It is.
And in this case, the gamble that I think in the payout, rather than whatever 10 million times 80 million, is a championship.
Right.
You're gambling $10 million. And if you win the gamble, there's a very good chance you can win a championship. The gamble is J.K. Dobbins stays healthy. The problem with that gamble is that parlay has never hit.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's the word I would say is like irresponsible. But at the same time, I'm like, hey, I'm a gambling man. Like, we're going to gamble. Let's gamble. And let's see if we can hit this big old parlay.
Yeah. The contract, 2 years, $16 million. Could get up to $20 million. $8 million guaranteed makes you think that it's essentially a 1 year, $8 million deal with the option. The team just has the right to bring him back for $8 million the next year if they want to. So you'd imagine in a world where he runs for 1,500 yards, everybody's saying, oh, he's worth $20 million. Well, now you get to keep him for $8 million. Now the kicker is, it sounds like it's 1,200 yards from scrimmage is worth another $2 million. All of a sudden, like you're paying more if the bet hits, which is kind of fair, but that would be the kind of thing that I would have expected on like a $6 million deal or $5 million deal. But my take last time we talked about a couple weeks ago was I don't really care what the deal is. The decision is just whether you're bringing him back or not, because you're making the bet regardless. And the difference between like $8 million and $5 million just really isn't going to amount to all that much.
Totally. And that's kind of where I came back on it. The only thing I will say is that by going all the way up to $8 million,
who else was in play?
It just tells you like that's the plan. It's not like we had kind of fantasized about bring back JK and someone else. Not talking about the draft, but a Tyler Algier if that's what you wanted, or someone else. But like by going up to $8 million is like, okay, this is the plan, and this is a gamble, and that makes me uncomfortable.
Yep.
And I do think it's a little bit irresponsible, but if we're gambling, let's gamble.
Yep. It's going to be the biggest question every single week.
Whenever I'm playing like cards in Vegas, and I ask the dealer for help, they'll always be like, well, are you trying to gamble or are you trying to play it safe?
Right.
I always say I'm trying to gamble.
There you go.
Let's gamble.
Crazy that's the George Payton approach, but that is the RK approach. We've got Zach Stevens on the Xfinity Mobile call-in line in just a second. First, though, gotta give a shout out to some of our friends.
Benihana, man.
Oh,
He's the best.
wow. Yeah, no. Imagine that.
He's just cooking on that
How would he take down a bad
grill.
guy? Probably the pot oil really get a bad guy.
Ooh, yeah.
Also, fun thing
I think he's just fighting the crime of auraless dinners.
Ooh, wow. He fights that crime well.
Because who wants to eat an auraless dinner, you know? Like, you go to Benihana, and that's a vibe.
It really is.
And if you get the right crew together, you can really have a great time at Benihana. And other ways to have a great time would be the $3, $6, $9 happy hour, which is going to be a great time. You're going to have specialty rolls, cocktails, premium bites on there. And another way to have a good time would be to try out the Wagyu of the world, some of the most premium steaks from all around the world, seared right in front of you, including Japan, Australia, and right here in the United States of America. So go over to Benihana and check out the great menu they have, and stop having auraless dinners with Benihana, man. Make your reservation and find out more information at benihana.com.
Also, shout out to our friends over at Toyota. There's been this big work truck just parked behind us for days now. Not a Toyota. And I think it's probably just broken down. I think that's the reason why it's just been sitting there for so long.
You're so observant.
Yeah, no, it just... I wish it would go away. But yeah, I mean, Toyotas, they never break down. They're the best cars out there. You can take them wherever you want, whether you're going on the trails, whether you're just driving to work every day like I do. There's an option for everybody. The Land Cruiser, the Tacoma, 17 different models available, all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. You also have the 16 different hybrid vehicles to choose from, like the Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota and Boulder, Groove Toyota and Littleton, Mountain States Toyota and Denver, Stevenson Toyota East and Aurora, Stevenson Toyota West and Lakewood. Toyota, official vehicle of DNVR and the official automotive partner of the NFL. Let's go places. Back into the DNVR Broncos podcast from the Toyota Lounge, and we're going to the Xfinity Mobile call-in line to hear from our guy Zach Stevens. And there he is, and he looks happy. Good. The chat could use some of those vibes.
Oh, no, man. Oh, I went back and listened to, read the comments on our YouTube shows yesterday, the emergency shows with when I brought positivity. And holy cow, I didn't know that people could hate positivity and just my feelings so much. This is honestly, guys, in my 10 years of covering the Broncos, which I just had my 10-year anniversary like 4 days ago, that was
Happy anniversary.
roughest day.
So you got him a
Oh,
cake.
thank you. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
It's the roughest that I've ever seen Broncos Country, to each other, to players, to the team, to reporters, to people online. It was tough, and after sleeping on it, guys, I feel the exact same way.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. It was a really bad look for us as a fan base.
It was.
Just being completely honest.
That was crazy.
But let's move along from that. I know that you were listening when I was kind of giving my opinion on J.K. Dobbins. We kind of went back and forth in the text thread last night.
Fun.
So I want to give you an opportunity to give your take on the money that came down for J.K. Dobbins and why you're more of a fan of it than I am.
Yeah, that was fun, going back and forth with you and just having Henry and Benny sit on the sidelines and watch it and drink it all in. But the reason I'm a fan of it, guys, if you remember last week, I said I would be okay paying J.K. Dobbins $8 million a year, and there was a lot of pushback, and I understood why. I mean, look, no one thought that the number was going to be that initially. I was fine with it, though, and the reason I'm okay with it is I actually think that this is a fine deal for both sides right here. It's essentially a 2-year, $16 million deal. The first year is fully guaranteed. So J.K. Dobbins is going to be on the team this year. That is no surprise. But that's it. It's a $1 million or 1 year, $8 million deal for the Broncos. And look, are you gambling on health? Yes. But what do we know about pretty much every single Super Bowl team is you have to hit the health right in order to win a Super Bowl. That happens with like 95% of the Super Bowl teams. So the Broncos are saying, this is our X factor. this year. This is our Xfinity X Factor, is J.K. Dobbins staying healthy. And when J.K. Dobbins is healthy, guys, he's one of the best in the NFL. And hey, there are $2 million in incentives built into both years to get 1,200 yards. And if he gets that, the Broncos are in the Super Bowl. They're winning the Super Bowl. And you are absolutely paying a guy like that $10 million for a season. And then look, if it goes the same way that it did last year and he doesn't finish the season and you didn't get the productivity that you thought, which I don't think is going to be the case, then you're talking about picking up his option for another $8 million next year. I really like this on both sides because J.K. Dobbins is an incredible player. He just needs to stay healthy. And look, what I'll tell you from inside the Broncos building, why they're not worried about the health, it's everyone I talk to. And this is not a PR spin. This is truly how they feel inside the building. He got hurt on an illegal hip drop tackle last year, and it was a fluke injury. And, I'm sure there's people that are going to go back and say, well, is every single year a fluke injury? I don't know how they feel about that, but I know about how they feel last year, that it was an illegal hip drop tackle that got him hurt. When he was tackled legally for the first 9 games, he wasn't hurt. So that's the feeling inside the building is, man, we're not taking a gamble. This is our guy. And obviously they're going all in on him for this year.
Yeah, a couple just counterpoints. One, I agree on the fact that you have to be healthy to win a Super Bowl, but counting on a guy who always gets hurt to be healthy to win a Super Bowl is just, it's gambling. And I've already come to terms that we're gambling. I like gambling too. One other thing is the illegal hip drop tackles and all that. That's just going to happen. Like, the point is that somehow, some way, J.K. gets hurt all the time. I hope and pray that it doesn't happen this year, but whether it's a hip drop, it could be a late hit out of bounds. Like, it doesn't necessarily change the fact that during football games, he gets hurt. And so I don't really understand that part of it from the Broncos, because like there's no saying that he won't get hip drop tackled in the first game of the season on the first carry.
Sure, but now let me throw a couple of other things out to you. The NFL, every player says it's 100% injury rate. You get injured, just the extent that it is. Can you play through that injury or be hurt? You look at the guy who I believe you wanted and a lot of fan base wanted, Kenneth Walker. He has played 12 or more games half of his career. Now he, that's 12 or games, so it means two seasons he has played more than that, which I understand is a higher rate than J.K. has. But you're taking a gamble there with Kenneth Walker and the injuries right there. Now Travis Etienne, if you wanted to go that route, okay, he's a guy that has been very, very healthy. But I mean, you're still taking a gamble on Etienne or on Kenneth Walker. It just might be a slightly less gamble, but there's a gamble right there. And the other thing is, Ryan, I heard you right before I joined the show. You said, man, it's a lot of money to pay, because I thought if you were going to go out and get J.K., there might also be a plan B that you have. When the Broncos signed J.K. Dobbins last year, it was very well known inside the building, and it didn't come out until obviously the season played out, but it was very well known inside the building that he was their starting running back, and there was no question about it. And then that continued throughout the season. Bringing J.K. back, whatever his contract was going to be, whether it was this contract, whether it was 1 year, $4 million, he was going to be the starting running back without a doubt. And this also just shows you how they feel about R.J. Harvey. George Payton said at the Combine, look, we think R.J. Harvey still could be a 3-down running back for us. Well, unfortunately, I'm touching wood right here. If J.K. does get hurt, he's going to have that opportunity because he's going to be that guy. Now, the Broncos are still going to use a 4th-round pick, 3rd-round pick, 5th-round pick on a running back to add to that room, because they still need a number 3. They still need a guy that can potentially take over the inside running if J.K. does get hurt this year. But they're all in on R.J. Harvey. And you say, well, that's what George Payton said at the Combine. Look at the other things George Payton said at the Combine. He said, if we lose Justin Sternad and Alex Singleton, what are we doing? They bring those two back right there. I mean, George Payton has been very upfront about what the Broncos are going to do. So there's no doubt, however this contract was structured, that J.K. was going to be the guy.
Do you think that there's a chance the Broncos will sign a free agent from another team today? Because I would hope so.
Okay. I think there's a very good chance of that, Henry. And it's kind of crazy how free agency goes. Like wave one of free agency used to be the entire first week, and you'd still get big splashes on Thursday, Friday, sometimes even Saturday. I remember the Broncos, I believe, signed DJ Jones on a Saturday, and that was like, okay, we're giving this guy some good money. Now the first wave of free agency is like the first 12 hours. And now the second round, there's still a couple of guys that are going to get paid. Obviously not on the Broncos' radar, like a Trey Hendrickson and those guys. But now we've already entered wave two of free agency. And guys, this is where championship teams are built for the most part. How about this stat right here? Of players that sign with different teams in free agency, 5% of those guys go on to make the Pro Bowl their first year with the next team. A 1 in 20 chance that you are going to sign a player who goes on and makes the Pro Bowl. And we're talking about the guys that are getting big-time money yesterday, the Devin Lloyds, all of those guys that got paid yesterday. 5% chance that those guys are going to go on and make the Pro Bowl. So what the Broncos did in 2013 and 2014 when they went out and got 4 Pro Bowlers that very first year, that's been done one other time in NFL history. But Broncos fans need to just praise that and think about how much of a miracle that was, because that is not real history. The real history that goes back more than just, looking at one class is that 5% of guys go on to make the Pro Bowl. How you win in the NFL is different than every other sport. You win in the NFL by drafting and developing. And you know why the Broncos were so bad for 10 years? Is because they did not draft well and they did not develop well. You know why they're starting to become good now? Is because they're drafting and developing. And then they're hitting on these free agent signings that they have. When they have made splashes, they hit on Zach Allen, without a doubt. They hit on DJ Jones. They hit on Malcolm Roach. And then they're also drafting these guys and paying these guys to stay. So this is truly where successful teams are built, is wave 2 of free agency, not wave 1. I mean, you just want to look at it. The teams that spent the most in free agency yesterday, the Raiders, the Titans, the Panthers, the Commanders, the Colts. One of those teams made the playoffs last year, and they had a losing record when they did make the playoffs last year. So true sustained success is not by winning day 1 of free agency.
Completely agree on that. And the Broncos have spent a lot of money keeping good players around that they drafted and developed, which should be praised and has been praised when it happened. We just lost a little bit of perspective. Mm-hmm. What position do you think that they would be looking to approach or attack if they were to go out and get a free agent today or in the next couple days?
Yeah, I think there's 2 that I've been hearing buzz on. It's wide receiver, and obviously we've heard some reports about the Broncos being interested in Romeo Doubs. We heard him being interested in Kendrick Bourne before he signed somewhere else. And then defensive line is the other position, and it makes sense. With John Franklin Myers moving on, the Broncos don't have to go out and get a starting defensive lineman, but they're in a position where they can go out and get a plug-and-play defensive lineman to be a starter, to be a backup, because they really like what they have in Eni Uwazurike, and how can you not when he played really well. And then also Savion Jones, but that's a spot where there's some vets out there where it's a 1-year deal that it's not a prove-it deal. It's a 1-year deal to come in and just be that guy that the Broncos need there. Calais Campbell, a guy we talked about last week. If you want to go Cam Jordan, that's a name obviously connected with Sean Payton. But there's a lot of good defensive linemen out there that aren't flashy players that the Broncos, it'd make a perfect sense for a day 2 signing. So that and wide receiver, and I know there's some questions about the wide receiver spot right there. It's clear the Broncos want to add some veteran presence there.
Yeah, I'm curious how this plays out. The receivers, like Romeo Doubs, doesn't excite me. I'm not sure what they'd actually do there, but given all the rumors we've heard, it sounds like they're going to do something. What do you think, Zach? Could they be in the market for a bigger name? Is it just finding a 5th guy?
Yeah, I mean, from conversations I've had in the past 12, 18 hours, it's likely going to be that wave 2 sort of signing that the Broncos are going to have. So it's not going to be a blow you away name, but it's probably going to be a name where people are like, okay, Broncos just got a good player. Let's see the price. Okay, at a good price as well. So that's what I think the Broncos do. I do think they make some moves today and potentially as the week goes on as well. And it's going to be those wave 2 type of players that it's not going to blow you out of your seat, but it's the responsible moves that the Broncos have. And right now, I think we're still waiting on contract numbers to come out, but they're sitting right around 15, 20-ish million dollars. And again, you still got to build out your roster with that money, and you still have to pay draft picks. Broncos have 9 draft picks in this class, so they're going to be looking at, $6, $7, $8 million that they need to save for the draft class. So it's crazy how quickly money goes. Yeah, exactly. Thanks for that, Ryan. The 6-7. It's quickly how money goes when you're building a team, and then also when you pay guys like $400 million worth of contracts like they have over the past 18 months. The money's staying inside this team.
Yeah. Well,
great stuff, Zach.
Great stuff as always, Zach. We'll see you tomorrow. That was Zach Stevens on the Xfinity mobile call-in line. Imagine that. Cool. We've got a lot more to talk about. Real quick, though, give a shout-out to Xfinity Man.
Xfinity Man.
Wow. Just sends Wi-Fi everywhere. Just shoots people with Wi-Fi.
Just fights the crime.
I bet he would take the Wi-Fi away from the bad guys.
Ooh, that would be interesting. I was thinking that he just fights the crime of inconsistent Wi-Fi prices.
Wow.
Because when you get with Xfinity, you're going to get a 5-year price guarantee, something that every NFL free agent wishes they could get, but they can't, because the only place where you can get that is over at Xfinity. And what's crazy about Xfinity's Wi-Fi is it's smart Wi-Fi, which I'm going to be 100% honest. I had no idea that was a thing.
Right.
But it knows which devices need the most power or the best bandwidth. And so they send it to that, which is crazy in my opinion. But all things are possible through Xfinity, man. And you can lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only. Restrictions apply.
Nothing hits quite like watching your team win and win and win. When the players' passion and the fans' dedication get together and overcome the odds, those are the moments we live for, celebrating how far we have come together. At Rocky Mountain Cancer Centers, we're proud to stand with fans across Colorado, treating more adult cancer than anybody else in the state. And now that we're in March, it's important to remember March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month. We're teaming up with Rocky Mountain Cancer Centers to ask one important question. Have you been screened lately? Colon cancer is on the rise in the United States, and getting early testing can help you catch it early and allow you to treat it more easily. Don't drop the ball. Could be the biggest catch of your life. And remember, March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month. So get it checked. Talk to your friends. Make sure everybody's getting themselves checked out because all this stuff is so much better when you're able to get in front of it. You bring your fighting spirit. We rally behind you every step of the way. Rocky Mountain Cancer Centers, the official sponsor of Denver sports fans. Back into the DNVR Broncos podcast, live from the Toyota Lounge. Going along with these free agents, I want to go back to J.K. Like, what has to happen for the deal to be worth it in the end? Because it's kind of tough when there's also like the kicker where if he gets to 1,200, you give him an extra $2 million. In some ways, like he's more valuable at like 1,100 than he is at 1,200.
$11.99.
Yeah.
I think he has to be healthy the whole year. And again, that was my big point in the group chat last night, which was just like, this is your plan.
That's the bet you chose.
Yes.
The bet we choose is J.K. Dobbins' health.
And if J.K. gets hurt, and okay, he misses 2-3 games, that's fine.
Yep.
In the middle of the season, he comes back. But I'm saying, like, if J.K. loses the season at any point, you lost the bet.
Yep.
In my opinion. Because this is your plan at running back. It's J.K. and it's R.J. And sure, could R.J. take a step forward and like burst on the scene and just erase all of our potential problems? That could happen, yeah. And in that case, then I guess you won the bet too, because you said we're betting on RJ's development as well. That's part of the parlay. But I think, in all honesty, the way that this bet hits is that JK is playing on your team in the last game that you play, whether that's the Super Bowl or not. But game here, game there, that's fine. As long as he doesn't suffer a season-ending injury at any point, you win the bet.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
there is like the caveat of like you have to make the playoffs first of all. if you want to win the Super Bowl, you probably have to win your division. And I don't know if you don't need JK for 17 games in the regular season to do those things. But if you wind up with him for 8 games, even if he's back toward the end, you're still in a really tough spot. So it's Broncos are in a tough spot. And so for JK, 2016 senior year of high school, he breaks his leg in the first game. 2019, his last game at Ohio State, has a high ankle sprain. 2021 was the big injury in the preseason. Towards ACL, LCL, meniscus, and hamstring. Misses the entire 2021 season. In 2022, he gets another surgery to try to speed up the recovery. Comes back for a couple games and then goes back for the second surgery on that. 2023, the next season's the Achilles. 2024, with the Chargers, he has the MCL sprain that only kept him out 4 games. And then last year, obviously, the Liz Frank in the 10th game that knocked him out for the year. So that's the rundown. It's tough. I still think the plan at this point needs to be to add somebody at the trade deadline. Like, I just don't see a way around it. I think given the options that are out there right now, like they're just not as good as the options that will be available at that point, because you'll be able to snag a starting running back. Like the David Montgomery deal a couple weeks ago. It was 3rd or 4th or whatever it was, a 4th.
5th, I think.
Something like that, to go get David Montgomery. Those options, there'll be so many of them at the trade deadline like there are every year. And that's the point where even if everything is going well, that's where I would say, yep, we're going and getting, I don't even know who it would be. Oh, Kyron Williams. I guess the Rams probably wouldn't be sellers at that point. Somebody will be selling. And you just take advantage of that. And if you're in a situation where you need an upgrade or JK's actually hurt, then you can, Jonathan Taylor's a free agent. Breece Hall's a free agent.
I mean, weren't you making that case at the trade deadline this year?
Yeah.
You were kind of saying like, hey, like, might be nice to have some insurance. And then 1 week later.
Yeah. Like 5 days later, it all happens.
Yeah. Well, and Breece Hall, I think, who was going to be the Broncos' main target if he hit free agency, is the perfect example, because the Jets are in the part of the year where they get to think they might be good. And they're like, well, if we're good, we should have Breece Hall on the team. And then by the time the trade deadline comes around, they'll know that they suck. And they're going to be asking themselves, okay, are we going to tag him again? Are we going to trade him? Are we going to re-sign him to a long-term deal? And that's when you might be able to swoop in and get Breece at a good rate. And then, you can make the decision if you want to bring him back. But yeah, I think it's a good thought. I don't think it excites anyone right now because it's a long, long ways away from the trade deadline.
Yep.
But I do think it is important to look at it through that lens. Like, the Broncos were going to be aggressive and going after Breece Hall. I think that just based on style of play, I would guess that Sean Payton's not the biggest Kenneth Walker fan. Travis Etienne was apparently the backup plan, and it sounds like they didn't want to pay that price. That one is the one where I think you could wring your hands a little bit if you think, why not just pay what would it be, $5 million more to get Travis Etienne, and we'll see how that ends up working out for the Saints. Right?
And I mean, it is just a fact. Etienne is not as good of a running back as JK. Like you put them in the exact same position, you are going to get more out of JK than you do for Etienne. And so I think that it's really hard if you're an NFL team trying to build the best roster to say we're going to pay more for a worse player, even if there is that big health caveat, which just makes things tough. And I feel for JK too, because there are a lot of athletes have like the chip on their shoulder. You're like, wow, that guy. A lot of that's kind of like overblown. For JK, it's really real because he's one of the few athletes where there's just nobody in his corner. Like there is no wind at his sails. And crazy for him in particular, because that's all he's ever wanted in the NFL is like a home. Yeah. And he's made that pretty clear. But even when news comes out, he's coming back, man, are people just going at him. And he got on Twitter and was like, I don't want to hear from you again after that. Like, you're not real, whatever. But that's who he is as a person. And, I feel for him through all this, to have this big contract and to know, like, there won't be Dobbins jerseys in the stadium because people are really upset about this, which is wrong.
And it's it's extra heartbreaking because it's like everyone loves him while he's healthy. Like Ravens fans were super excited about him. Broncos fans, we all fell in love with J.K. in the first 10 weeks of last year. And then, what feels inevitable happens, and then everyone's like, oh, okay, yeah, everyone else was right about him. This always happens.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like, I wouldn't say that no one's in his corner because I think that everyone is pulling for him to be healthy.
They're just doing it by screaming at him.
I think when he's on the field, everyone's going to love him.
Yeah. I think by the time we get to the season, this will blow over.
And hey, if the parlay hits, guess what? He's going to be a legend.
Right. I mean,
a Broncos legend. He'll get all of his hopes and dreams will come true. Because, Broncos fans will buy the jerseys and, maybe he's the Super Bowl MVP. Like, that type of stuff is on the table for J.K. Dobbins if he ever stays healthy. And to your point, he is, I think this is what tantalized the Broncos so much. He is better than all of the running backs that were available.
Yes. Like, not a conversation. Like, Kenneth Walker is not in the same tier as J.K. Dobbins when healthy.
Exactly. And even Breece Hall, who I'm super high on, is not there yet. And so that's, I think, where the Broncos just saw that plus money on the on the bet, and we're just like, God, he's so talented. If he just stays healthy, it'll be unbelievable. And so they decided to make the bet. I get it. I do want to address one thing.
Yes. The elephant in the room?
I don't know.
That phrase doesn't get used enough.
I think it gets used plenty.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's just my friends. Shoot.
A lot of people have been asking in the comments, like, how can you guys say that we've gotten better?
Can't.
We haven't.
No.
And you can't. There's literally no case to be made that the Broncos got better. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people are, it's at the core of why people are upset.
It's a salary cap league.
And other teams around us did get better. Mm-hmm. And that's just an undeniable fact. And if you really had to boil it down and make a decision, technically the Broncos got a little bit worse yesterday because they lost Dre Greenlaw.
True.
And so I totally understand that. I think that where the chasm's coming from is all of a sudden people don't think the Broncos were ever any good. And that's where I'm confused.
Right.
It's like the team that they had was good. Like people are like, oh, great. Like we're going to have to see Singleton out there again. It's like
the number 2 run defense.
Best defense or one of the best defenses in the league, or, like that's what's weird to me. And that's where I think the chasm is. But no one here is trying to act like the Broncos got better yesterday. It would be impossible to make that case.
Yeah.
Even Zach can't make that case.
Yeah, no. He couldn't. There's no way. But yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. And that's what I said yesterday is that, they're the roster is not as good.
So they definitely got worse.
Exactly. When you just look at, like, what is the difference in the defense this year? As of now, it's the exact same defense, minus obviously a couple depth guys, PJ Locke and Dre Greenlaw, but basically the exact same defense, but without JFM. Your defense on paper is worse. Offensively, it's basically the exact same group. So your offense on paper should be the exact same, which you go into the offseason saying, like, on paper, like, let's get better. And I still think there's that opportunity, and that's what I need. Is I don't need like any crazy moves, but I just need to be able to point to something and say, oh, you did this, so now I think you're going to run the ball better, or you're going to throw the ball better, or you're going to cover, whatever it may be. I just need something to point at to say, yeah, you may not lead the NFL in sacks again. You lost JFM. It sucks. But there is this. And if you do that, then I'll call this an offseason that I'm happy with.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is the offseason has only just begun.
Right.
If this was the first day of training camp, I would be saying, like, yeah, this was a bad offseason.
Right.
This was the roster you were taking in. But there's still plenty of time. There's draft night trades, and that's what I'm really hoping for, is not necessarily a draft night trade, but a big trade that just forces everyone to be like, okay, like, sorry.
Yep.
I didn't realize that was in the works.
Man.
I crashed out unjustifiably. But we'll see. Like, there's just so much time for things to change and things to happen that can make this team better. And so, yes, they did not get better yesterday.
It's true.
They could get better today.
Yep.
They could get better tomorrow, all the way up until really the first game of the season.
Yep. Real quick, it's Taco Tuesday, and we have to celebrate with our friends over at Taco Bell.
Taco Tuesday! We're doing it! Okay, you know Taco Bell's always bring in the remix to stuff,
Yes.
right? First off, though, the nacho fries, a true classic and favorite of ours. And then, innovating the game, as they always do, with this quesadilla, a favorite, right? A favorite. My household, everyone loves the quesadilla. You tell them, Jake. But here, we got the steak quesadilla.
Yes, so
Up in the game.
I think that this is the best fast food quesadilla out there. It's partially because of the quesadilla sauce, which is just
Whoa!
amazing. But yeah, let's go in.
Whoa, that's good stuff. Oh, man. Oh, I needed that.
quesadilla. It's so good.
I needed that. That steak's yummy. I mean, look at that's like well cooked.
Oh, yeah.
there. That's well done.
I was just thinking the same thing.
That's a beauty. Happy Taco Tuesday to you all. Come get this, man. Let's get this on the menu forever and ever. Come get yours today. Happy Taco Tuesday. God bless.
All right, back in the DNVR Broncos podcast presented by Bet3, in the Toyota Lounge is where we are. Also, should give out these grades.
Yeah.
I think, do we just do one big grade? Are there specific, because like I feel like you can't just grade just the Singleton move and just you
Just
put them like
grade the
together.
day.
Maybe just grade the day.
I'd call it a C-.
Yeah, I think I'd go C+. C. I guess there's a lot of nitpicking with the contracts. I think that's just going to happen because it's the NFL. The contracts go up every year. You get like the Adam Trautman deal. You give him $5.6 million. That slots him in between Noah Gray, the Chiefs' number 2 tight end, at $6 million, and Luke Farrell, the 49ers blocking tight end, at $5.25.
Yeah,
That's kind of exactly where he should be.
And if I'm allowed to like include Strnad, then maybe I would bump it
Right.
up a little higher.
Right.
To a C+. It was, you kept your guys, and in Singleton and Strnad, you kept 2 guys that I really didn't want to lose.
Yep.
In Palcho, I definitely didn't want to lose him.
Right.
Troutman, I truly did not care. And Dobbins is a gamble. There's no way to grade it until we know what happens.
Yeah.
We can guess what's going to happen, and if I had to guess, I would guess that he's going to get hurt.
You have to. You could look back and say, like, okay, the injuries that scare you, again, so the broken fibula doesn't scare me. That's a fluky thing from high school. The high ankle sprain at Ohio State doesn't scare me. I think that's just a natural thing.
That's just a running
Once
back.
every
Running
8 years,
backs are
once
gonna
every
get
8
that.
years, a running back gets a high ankle sprain. The big one, the big blown out knee that also tore the hamstring, took an extra surgery a year later. That one is obviously concerning. Led to the Achilles injury the next year, which often happens when you have a big injury. You wind up overcompensating. And so those, to me, kind of get paired together. And so maybe you say, like, hey, he's past that because he hasn't had, it's been 3 years since those have been an issue. You have the MCL sprain in 2024. That's another one I put in the, like, you're running back, it happens, you miss 4 games because your knee got twisted. And then this year, the foot injury. So there's a lot of them you can put in the box of, like, yeah, this isn't like in itself like there's something wrong with him that he can't stay healthy. But I mean, there's the big trend right there when you just look at the years 2019, 2021, 22, 23, 24, 25. And so I don't know exactly where to put that.
Yeah, I don't know the science
Right.
behind like what makes a guy injury prone.
Right.
And I know players hate having that label attached to them.
Who wouldn't?
But the only thing I can just look at is the
Are you
amount
on
of
the
times
field?
he's hurt.
Right.
And so, again, we are all collectively praying
Yes.
that this will be a year where he is not injured.
Maybe to
And when I
Xfinity,
say
man.
injured, I mean injured, not just a sprained ankle or something like that.
Yeah.
Like Those things are just going to happen to a running back. Very few running backs play 17 games.
Right.
You shouldn't expect that. But I'll just be worried every time he has the ball in his hands.
Right. Terrible feeling. I felt that way about MPJ.
I felt that way about Payton.
Oh, yeah.
For different reasons, obviously.
Totally.
But
let's pivot to where the Broncos go from here. No moves yet today, obviously, for the Broncos. We would have told you. But it does feel like there's got to be something out there for them to do. Like we're kind of due for that. We don't have. So the reason we don't know how much salary cap space is that we don't have all the details on the contracts they've already signed. So like J.K. Dobbins this year is getting $8 million. That could just mean that he counts as $8 million against the salary cap this year, or you could give him $6 million of it in a signing bonus, which would mean he only hits the salary cap for $5 million this year. And so with all those contracts they signed in the past couple of days, we just don't have the details. So it could be that they're down close to $10 million. They could be closer to $20 million. Like Zach said, you're going to have to pay your rookie class. Only your top 51 contracts matter in the offseason, though, for the salary cap. And so if you're drafting a guy in the 7th round, he won't factor in at all.
Yeah.
So you say there's probably another $4 or $5 million in terms of rookies.
at least.
Yeah. And then you also usually go into the season. Traditionally, the Broncos went into the season with about $10 million in cap space. Sean Payton era, it's been more like $6 million. I think one year got down to $4 million. Point is, maybe they've got another $5 million to spend. Maybe they're really lucky and it's closer to like $12 million to spend. They could open up more money by restructuring somebody else's contract. But again, it's a championship window, not just like this season. And so you don't want to be restructuring contracts this year and then saying, well, now we've got to cut guys next offseason to get under the cap. So I would say it's $5 million, maybe $12 million, unless they want to do something crazy.
Yeah, I think that was well said.
It was longly said. What do they do with it?
I don't know. I mean, you're past
Right.
the point for me where there's anything I'm banging the table for.
Yeah.
I think I think at this point, the thing that would get me the most excited is a veteran defensive lineman who we know and like, such
Yeah.
as Cam Jordan or Calais Campbell.
Yeah.
Like those are like the moves that happen the rest of this week that would be like, oh, hell yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I see what we're doing here. Or like, wow, that could really help us or improve us in this way or another if that guy, plays to what he's capable of. And yeah, so that's what I'll be looking out for.
Yeah, Calais Campbell's the one that really jumps out.
Yeah.
Because again, just played for $3 million last year, had 7.5 sacks, something like that. So you'd imagine he's not going to be only $3 million again this year. It's probably more than that, like 8 to 10 range. But still, I mean, if that's your budget, you go get a JFM replacement for a season. I think that could go well. The receivers don't move me. If I see the notification like Broncos get Romeo Doubs, I'm gonna say, okay, there's your off season. Like that's what you chose for your last $10 million or whatever. And it doesn't feel like he's much of an upgrade over what they have. But I do think that you get into the season and you'd say, this is nice to have. Because he probably does come in and give you 600 yards, and that's something.
Totally. The other thing, it's being talked about in the comments, like, so we're just banking on winning 7 one-score games again, or whatever the actual total was.
As Sean Payton said, I am not naive enough to think that all those one-score games couldn't have gone the other direction.
Totally. But just because the roster is staying very similar does not all of a sudden mean you're going to be in the exact same amount of one-score games.
Right.
We're not giving any room there for development.
Right.
Which is, as Zach's pointing out, something the Broncos have been great at.
Yeah.
Bo Nix can get better.
Yeah. Maybe he doesn't take 3 quarters to warm up anymore. That'd be nice.
That would be sweet.
That would be really cool.
RJ Harvey can get better.
Right.
Troy Franklin can get better.
Right.
You go on down the list.
Pat Bryant.
Bryant.
Evan Ingram might know the offense a little bit better. You might be able to.
Exactly. And then Davis Webb. Could Davis Webb unlock
things.
something in the offense that allows them to score more points? Like, there's not only just one way to get better in the NFL.
Yeah.
And that's spending a bunch of money on day one of free agency.
As they say, free agency is for bad teams.
Well, and the proof is in the pudding on that yesterday.
Yeah, I do kind of like what the Raiders did. I keep saying like you reunite Quay Walker with Nakobe Dean, like Georgia teammates, or your two linebackers. We'll see what happens.
Would you like to trade places with them?
Oh, of course not. No. Like,
I know your answer, but I just want to like put that in perspective.
Right. Like it's just they're playing the game the Broncos had to play a few years ago, which is go sign a bunch of free agents and try to get your ship to stop like leaking water out of all different sides. You have to go find your quarterback. You have to do all these different things in order just to get back to like real NFL team status, which was year one and kind of year two of the Sean Payton era.
Could you create more turnovers? Sorry, I'm just
out of
thinking
pure
of
luck.
ways.
Just out of pure luck, you could.
Yeah.
Like, or Taunu Funga just doesn't drop 5 picks.
Jugs machine. Development.
Right. The thing is, he plays with this, like, he's constantly like charging toward the quarterback.
Yeah.
And so whatever speed the ball is thrown at is like added to the speed of him going toward it. Right. That actually is. But yeah, that's.
Speaking of really quick, I saw this thing the other day where these people took like a flatbed truck and created like a mechanism on it that like moves a chair. And so they got the flatbed truck going 80 miles per hour and then launched a guy backwards at 80 miles per hour.
Whoa.
And then he just landed perfectly on his feet.
Wow. Was he wearing a helmet?
Sick. Yeah, he's wearing a lot of protective gear.
Good. That is crazy.
But like the first time I watched it, I was just like, what the hell is going on?
Right. He's holding still.
And then he just perfectly landed it. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That is, we might have to try that. Yeah. I do think Calais Campbell's the one name on this list who, if they add, I'd be like, this is exciting. There aren't many left. There really aren't many left. Yeah. Do you think we're getting a move today?
Yes.
Do you think people will crash out over it?
Probably.
Okay. Yep. Think it's going to be PJ Locke.
See, I would like that.
I would too. But in the current environment, I don't think it would be received well.
It sure wouldn't. Yeah, it's either that or like a person that no casual fan has heard of.
Right. We're all Googling Noah Brown.
Exactly.
Like, oh, the receiver. Did he make a play against the Broncos? I don't remember. Yeah, I think that's pretty likely. Do you think there's a chance they add another tight end? Just looking through Goddard, Njoku, Ertz, Jonnu Smith.
Names, man.
Right. Every one of them past their prime, but you could convince yourself like any one of them not too far past. Even Zach Ertz, you're like, I don't know.
Zach Ertz could be exactly what they need to convince Bo Nix to throw to a tight end.
He could be. I mean, Zach Ertz could be your Travis Kelce.
I don't think that, but
no.
I think that he could make some big plays on third downs like he has his whole career.
I also don't think Travis Kelce's that good anymore, which is probably important to that take.
Yeah, that could move the needle a little for me.
Yeah. It might be a little bit strange also having Evan Ingram to do.
Well, and then who's not making? Are you going to carry 4?
You could carry 4. I mean, You're not signing anybody else. What are you giving those roster spots?
Fair enough.
Yeah. And so like Tyler Lockett doesn't move you. Gabe Davis, Juju.
I don't think there's
Christian
a wide receiver
Kirk.
that can move me.
I don't think so either. I think Debo would, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't. Any wide receiver that's added at this point, I'm just like, why aren't you just developing the guys you have?
Right. I think Debo might be my one. Just because he's like, give him the ball, make some plays.
You can put him in different situations, I guess.
The things that I think they should be doing with Marvin Mims.
Right, which then I would be asking, why don't you just do this stuff with Marvin Mims?
Right. Yeah, this could be a pretty... We're going to end on a more positive note, hopefully. Look at some of these super chats. If we can make them just a little bigger. Oh, that's Larry from Maryland. Oh, shout out Larry from Maryland. They're going to trade for Kamara and run with Dobbins, Kamara, and Harvey. Hate it or not, it's still happening. I don't know.
I don't think I would hate that.
I haven't decided if I'd hate it. I'd have to dig more into Kamara because I don't think he's as good anymore.
Definitely not.
I think that the situations where you get him the ball are kind of the situations where I'd be getting RJ Harvey the ball.
And that's what I mean. Like, same
redundant.
thing as the receivers. But I think that there's certainly some stuff that he could do that would be exciting.
Right. Yeah, and I would add sometimes the like Sean bringing former Saints thing in gets a little bit overblown. I'll throw that take out there. You know, we have the big conversation about Michael Thomas. It's like, oh, Michael Thomas is a free agent. He's going to be a Bronco. It's like, no, that didn't happen. Brandon Cooks is another Sean Payton guy. It's like, they weren't the team that got him.
Mm-hmm.
We've had the conversation about Taysom over and over again. Obviously never happened.
Have I told you my Taysom Hill Haynes King take yet?
No. Interesting.
I guess that's my take.
How old is Haynes King? Yeah, there we go. There's the take. But yeah, I think that, and then you go through all the defensive guy where there's just so many of them where it's like, they're going to be Broncos. They're going to be Broncos. And so far, like initially he brought some in as like culture setters, but has there been any in the past couple of years? Like little Jordan was a Saint, but I count him as like an initial addition since you brought him back. You didn't bring back Latavius Murray when Sean got here, despite him being a Saints guy.
And Latavius Murray recruiting Sean to come to the Broncos.
Latavius telling Sean you should be here. Yeah, I'm struggling to come up with any examples.
I'm sure there's one or two that have been mixed in, but you're right that it often does get a little bit overblown.
I think we're kind of past that phase.
Right, the initial guys who were there,
right, and
those are like his guys, which
the
Adam Troutmans of the world.
Hey, Adam Troutman's everybody's guy. Rashawn Elway, maybe his brother. Greenlaw, dead cap, 4-3, Singleton 7-5 equals 11.8 million. Bush, Quay, Nakobe, DeMario were available for similar money and clear upgrades. Singleton's a liability and pass. Dobbins 2 years, 20 million. Dowdle, Algier got so again. Rico Dowdle is half the running back J.K. Dobbins is, and Tyler Algier is not half the running back that J.K. Dobbins is. Again, they're available, and so it just comes down to whether you're willing to like make the
gambling or not.
Exactly, and if you go get Rico Dowdle, congrats. Like you got your 900, maybe 1,000 yards on league average efficiency, and say like, not bad. But with JK, we're saying we want better than 5 yards per carry, and we want 1,400 yards out of him. And it's certainly a gamble, but I think that's just the situation you're in. Is you're not looking for medium, and even medium I think would be certainly overselling Tyler Algier and probably Rico Dowdle as well.
Could I request a film room about linebackers in pass coverage?
Wow. The weird thing is it'd have to be like big, like data first. You have to go big on data on like, okay, what parts of the field are they actually in? Where are the catches? And then you could find the film examples.
Yeah.
It'd be tough.
It would have to be a large project, but like it could actually change the world.
It could change the world. It could change the world.
Like you could actually convince people that linebackers in coverage as a generality are a liability.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that
they
is
are.
Like that's it's not Alex Singleton is a liability in coverage. It's not the
Fred
sentence.
Warner.
Linebackers are a liability
yes.
in coverage is the sentence.
It just doesn't because their job is to stop the run. Like that is job number one. And then once you can do that, then you start talking about the other stuff. Like somebody even tweeted me like, what about when Alex Singleton played Zach Ertz in the Commanders game? Like, what do you say about that? And so I went back and watched every single pass to Zach Ertz in that game. There was one time where they lined up across from each other, and it was just like a quick little double move. Zach Ertz caught it for like 6 yards and a first down. Nothing else was on Singleton. And so whatever memories you have are just, you saw him chasing after because somebody else blew a cover. You saw whatever you saw, but I don't know.
And then he also had the big pass breakup in that game.
Right. 30 yards downfield, he jumps up and, yeah. But that's any rumors for Najee Harris? This could be a solid backup. You're in a tough spot now where the job with the Broncos is not appealing right now because you're backing up J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. And if you're Najee Harris, you're saying, I want to be a number 1 running back, and that probably won't happen for him. So I want to be a number 2 running back, and that's something you could probably find. And that was always the tough part with the go get J.K. and get somebody else theory, just because like you're either selling J.K. or somebody else on being a backup. So I don't think you're going to see another move at running back in the near future. I think it's probably post-draft when guys realize, like, I need a job, and so I could go be a number 3. In terms of the number 3 jobs, you get to run behind a good offensive line. J.K. gets hurt a lot. Like, it's not the worst number 3 job, but it is a number 3 job. So I trade deadlines where you make your move. I think that's going to do it for today.
Yes.
We'll be back tomorrow, hopefully with Zach, and hopefully I'll actually see you this afternoon for an emergency pod, but I'm not holding my breath. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
God bless Bo Nix.
We all silly like the mayor.